So today we got a bridge welding foreman in, and he's actually going uphill, giving them some examples on a D1.1, D1.5 test. Giving them some examples, showing them how thick the plate got to be. Majority of them is a inch thick coupon, and he's just doing a couple of practice welds, giving them some ideas and what you have to do when you're in the field in construction, and how difficult and how different it is versus a shop. You know,
When that metal gets hot, it's only going one way, and that's up. So all that heat that we've been running on from the bottom is going up. So that's why it's going to be the second half of that. First half's going to be real smooth, you're going to be able to put it down. But once you get up to that top, man, that heat's just naturally rising. So sometimes I'll want to bump it down. And then once I start my second pass on the bottom again, then I'll bump it back up. Like, you just got to be ready to adapt. Well, I was loading on this heat. I was loading on this amperage and this was doing this. Why is it different? Well, because the metal's going to do different things. Heat's going to do different things as you keep going.
we're using 1/8 inch rods right now. And just so, if y'all don't know, when you're doing the D1.5 test, there is no grinding tools as far as machinery tools. You can't use a grinding wheel. You can use a scraper, a raw brush, and your chip and hammer. And that's about it.
The first pass is usually not going to be your prettiest one, but at least as long as you're tying in, you're not really worried about like everything else that you're going to be filming in, if that makes sense. Like my main goal with this first pass is to make sure that what I'm putting down is fusing together the two pieces of metal that are behind it.
And you remember how I tell y'all that I was like, man, that first one, if you got a little undercut, don't even worry about it. Just make sure it's tied in good, because you got to come back with your filler passes to fill all of it in.
So why worry about two things when you could worry about one thing? Right now, the only thing on this pass that I'm worried about is making sure my root is penetrating, so that when he takes one of my straps and bends the root, I know that it's not going to break. Because I made sure that I paused, fused, made sure that I took my time to make sure that everything on just that pass, not on the top, but what's going on with that puddle is touching everything it needs to be touching and fusing everything that it needs to be fused. So I'm confident if they took that and bent that root, it's going to hold. It's not going to break.
And that's the main thing. Remember I said that you don't want it to break. You know, you want it to be able to bend and still stay together, because the weld should be stronger than the existing metal. It actually should, if it gonna break, it need to break on the side of the weld, like where ain't no weld at, versus than that weld. If it breaks where that weld at, that means you had some trash in there, you didn't hesitate, and it wasn't hot enough.
Right.
Burn through that backing strip. So that's why it's real critical to make sure that you burn through, because anything that you do on your root pad, like I tell you, you can always fix it. When I said, hey, don't worry about it. Just get a good one in there and we can fix it on the filler passes, because you still got to put some more weld in. So right now, if that's his root pass, and just to say, if he had to put 2 more in there, he can actually put 2 more passes, 1 or 3, to cap it up. Just say if that was a root pass and he put 3 caps, he go run 3 stringers now.
Right, one on that left, tying in this to my weld. The second one tying that previous weld I just made into this groove, and then the third one, this groove into this. Like, it's always overlapping slightly. You're not trying to do too much and grab too many things and throw them together. It's like if there's 2 pieces of metal right here, we're tying both of these in. And then after that's tied in, I'm gonna make sure that one I just did is tied into this, if that makes sense.
And that goes back to me telling you about how to tie them welds in. I was talking about when you run that first weld, make sure you focus on the toe of the previous weld.
Right.
And that'll help you, exactly, and that helps you do what he's doing now. So now it all makes sense of why you got to tie in and be close, because you want to be able to make everything fuse together.
So if you try fusing it all together at one time, and like if this isn't flat, right? These metals are coming in at different angles. Like, they're not supposed to be done at the same time and at the same rate. Like, there needs to be a brick here before you put a brick here, before you put a brick on top of them. You can't do all of them at once. It just doesn't make sense. So do that one thing that you know you're supposed to do. Don't focus on anything else except for that. Then once you get through that, that's when you change gears and say, okay, what am I supposed to do now? Well, it's not my root. I already did my root. I'm supposed to tie this into this. Then you focus on that. And then once you do that one, switch gears again. Focus on that next thing that you're supposed to focus on, but don't think about the whole thing. It's important to know the steps, but if you're just going across trying to tie all of it in one pass, it's not what a root's for, right?
It's kind of go back to the concept I was giving Miss P on building a house. You got your foundation,
Right.
you put your walls up, then throw the ceiling on there. But have you ever pulled up to a new development and just seen a roof just hanging in the air? Have you ever seen one? Nah. So you got to have the foundation first, fam. The foundation is everything. So even in doing this, the foundation is everything. You know what I mean? So as long as you keep that in, you're gonna be all right, fam. You're gonna be all right. So it's just keeping that process and fine tuning it and actually mastering that stage. Because once you get that part, it's gonna be nothing when it's time to do the next step. But you need to know to be aware. Just like when you was welding that one day, when you got into it, you instantly told me, hey man, I kind of got off my route right here. I was kind of moving the gun. I ain't even have to tell you what you did wrong. You'd already told me. You did too, Miss P. What you say? You said, well, this tie-in wasn't as good as I should have did this. You starting to get it now. I ain't even got to say anything no more, because now you're getting the whole concept. You welders now. All you doing is critiquing it. Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
now it's coming together. Just gotta get there through that root with all that fucking heat, man. Let it cool down. And after that, that's when you can make it pretty. So you're not worried about tying this whole thing together, right? Just one thing at a time.
Woo.
Usually just going left and right. Sometimes if I get too hot, I'll come out of it and come back in. Or when I'm starting and tying back into that weld I just made, I will do a circle to make sure it's all hot and I got my puddle established before I start moving. So if you see me circling, it's just to make sure that it's getting hot and I'm forming a puddle. Because if you move too quick and it's not tied in, that can be a break point. So you want to strike up higher than it, bring it down low, circle around until you see your puddle, and then you'll start moving.
And you know, another point I want to make about this D1.5 bridge welding is, like he said, that you can make good money doing this, but you're not going to be welding all the time. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to make good money, but you won't be doing a whole lot. You be doing some welding. One. It's always one root pass. It's always one root, and then the rest of them stringers. Yep, the rest of them stringers. So the only one that you really want to focus on, like I say, to make sure you get that root. Get that good root, and then everything else is straight stringers. Taking your time running straight out.
Right. There might be 20 passes, but it's only going to be one root pass.
Yep. What he said. Might be 20 passes, but it ain't going to be one root pass. It might be 100 passes, but only one root. You running it. So you see how he's only using that chipping hammer and that raw brush, because that's all you can use when you take this test. You can't use no power tools. So you just gotta get familiar with that chipping hammer, raw brush, and they got a thing called a scraper. I might have one to show you what it looks like. Now he's left with one pass on the side. This is a scraper. And you go beside your wheels to make sure they clean. This is a scraper, y'all. This is what you're gonna have to buy to add to your bag. That's a scraper. So that way you can put this beside the wheel to make sure that slag is out of there. It won't be no trash in there. Yeah. So that's all you can have is this here, that wide brush, and that chipping hammer that he got. And this is gonna be your lifesaver.
This last one, I'll probably just run like a 32.
Okay.
I feel pretty good about it. That second pass is where I did the majority of the leg work on it.
Yeah, but they don't even have to be that hot on this last one, because that plate is still taking that heat in. There's some 332s on the side over there. Yeah. And that's another good thing too, fam. You see how he determined on what to use and what to do? And that's something that you have to do in the field as far as troubleshooting and knowing, what you need to do for your next step. So,
You don't have a choice, but sometimes you get. Because just being aware is the biggest thing. I probably haven't gone vertical since we took that test, dog.
so you wanted to dive into it too? You like? Oh yeah, he did it. And as you see, like I say, everybody's weld is like a handwriting. I like to tell people that
Right.
it's like a signature. Just because my signature might be printed in his signature doesn't mean that both of them signatures. If it passed, it passed. You know what I'm saying? So that don't get caught up in that. You know. So you know how some people, oh, it got to look like, you know, man. As long as it'll pass a test, it'll go through. It's good. It's good. That's all that matters.
Making sure the wheel don't break.
Yep.